If you paint with acrylics, you are likely overwhelmed by the many options on the shelves. While I have not tested all of them, I consistently use a few brands in my professional work, and I want to share my experience and break down the difference between the ones I use most: Golden, Novacolor, and Liquitex. You probably know Golden and Liquitex as they are found in almost any art store, but you may not have heard about Novacolor, which is a favorite to many. How a paint performs is important to many artists, but so is the price point. My goal is to help you better understand these three different paints so you can decide which might work best for your acrylic painting practice. In this video, I will let you know about some basic differences among the paints, as well as share the results of my test for vibrancy, staying power, and tinting power, which relates to the pigment load. So let's start testing. I'm going to go ahead and paint in cadmium yellow from Golden, and now phthalo blue. This is Golden's fluid paint, and we have naphthol red, and then one of my very favorite colors is green gold. And it's also a fluid paint, and I just wanted to show you this color because I love it so much. Now we've got Liquitex, and this is naphthol crimson. And I will paint in another Liquitex later. I couldn't find it at this moment, but I will paint that on later. And now we're going over to Novacolor. And Novacolor, they're all the same consistency, the same types of paint. Novacolor does not have different bodies of paint. So we've got phthalo blue at the top there, and then we have Hansa yellow, and then phthalo turquoise, and then cadmium orange. And so the purpose here is just to look and see how vibrant these colors are and how brilliant they are. So now what I'm doing is a test on the power of the pigment to tint it to another color. And so I've got the same yellow. Both the yellows are Novacolor's Hansa yellow. But I'm using, on the bottom there, I'm using the phthalo blue from Novacolor, and on the top, I'm using phthalo blue from Golden. And what I'm doing here is I'm painting each one. So the one that has the phthalo golden, I'm painting that there on the golden section. And the one that has the Novacolor phthalo, I'm putting it in that section. It's a little bit cut off here. Sorry about that. And now I'm painting in the Liquitex Heavy Body Quin Magenta color, so we can include that in part of our tests coming up here. Hey there, I want to invite you to join my 4-day abstract painting challenge that I'm holding next week, September 3rd, 2024, where I will show you how to create your own abstract painting from start to finish. Now, if you're watching this after September 3rd, 2024, don't worry, I've got a link below in the description box that will give you a free class and shows you how to create a painting too. However, you might want to subscribe to my email list if you are bummed you're missing this challenge. I run these challenges several times per year, and the best way to find out about it is from my email list. So back to the challenge. Each morning, I'm going to email you a pre-recorded inspiring lesson that you can complete at your own pace. Whether you're a total beginner or you just want to up your skills in abstract painting, this challenge will be perfect for you. I'll also host live Q&A sessions in Facebook each day at 4 p.m. Eastern United States time to answer any questions you have or to offer extra tips. If you ever struggled with where to start in abstract painting or just want to freshen up your skill set, this is for you. I'll be demonstrating how to create this painting from start to finish. However, take a look at some of the paintings my students made in past challenges. As you can see, each one is a totally unique and fresh expression of their own unique style. I only run this challenge a few times a year, so don't miss the opportunity to join the challenge and to get a lot of feedback from me. Click the link in the description below to join the challenge. So let's talk about the results here. When you just look at the paper here, you can see the colors are really vibrant. And so we don't really have much of a difference in terms of the vibrancy, like comparing like this yellow and that yellow, like super vibrant. You know, this red is a little thinner because this was the high flow golden. So because of that, it's a little thinner, but really bright, vibrant color as well as the naphthol here. So I think in terms of like the colors, they're all beautiful. There's nothing to compare there. The thinness and the thickness, you know, depends on the type of paint you get for Golden and Liquitex. So for Golden, you can see these are like what you would say the soft body, like the regular paints, right? And then these were the fluid acrylics. And so the fluid acrylics are thinner by nature. And I like that. It's a nice staining that we get. And actually, I love the fluid acrylics for when, let's say you want to add a bit of white to a color. If it's in a fluid acrylic bottle, it's just so easy. Pop open the lid and just squeeze it in and mix. It's just really nice to have. So in terms of thickness, you know, in the coverage, I think we're pretty similar with Golden and Liquitex. And with Novacolor, you can see a little bit of the thinness there, but you know, some of that is because of, you know, this blue is not like a opaque color, right? Whereas the yellow is more opaque. But the coverage is pretty nice. And I'd say the way that it feels is something in between, you know, like we said, in between the sort of soft body and the fluid. And I don't mind how it feels, and I don't mind how it goes on. I think the only thing is, you know, generally speaking, it is a little bit of a thinner paint, and I tend to use a lot of texture. So this would be fine for me sort of like for beginning layers, but later layers where I want more body, I probably would personally still go for Golden, maybe Liquitex. This is the Liquitex Heavy Body. This is Heavy Body too, but again, this color is less opaque than this red. Remember, opaque means you can't see through the color. And then translucent is we can see through it a little bit. You can see to the white here. So then when we did our color test with Golden and Novacolor, I'm actually very, very impressed, I have to say, because remember we had the Hansa yellow from Novacolor, and we added a little bit of blue to each. Now I may have done a little bit less blue in the Golden. I only know this after I rewatched this video afterwards, but I don't think it was much. And look at these. These are very similar colors. They don't look very different. So, you know, again, we only used a very little bit of the blue in each. And so maybe if that was reversed, where we needed a lot more of the yellow, let's say, maybe that would have been different. But the reality is the fact that I had so little blue in this yellow and it tinted it that way, that shows you that it has a very good tinting power, has high pigmentation, which is what they claim, right? And so you can see that here, and obviously you can see that here. So far, if you think about all these different variables, they're pretty even. I do think for me, all the variety that Golden gives you, I still personally prefer it. But what we want to do now is let's test out getting a wet rag, and we're going to rub these really hard and see if they come off. Okay, so that's the next test. So let's get right to that. Okay, so let me tell you why I like to test if the paint wipes off after being dry. And by the way, these paints dried for about 12 hours. I like to test that because if you put a layer down and it dries, and then you put another wet layer on, and let's say you have to wipe off some of that wet layer. When you wipe off the wet layer, if it also wipes off the dry layer, then that's not ideal because you assume that that dry layer is there to stay. And I found this to happen with Liquitex Basics. I'm surprised and disappointed to see that it's wiping off here with the professional heavy body Liquitex brand. And that is surprising and disappointing. Now, as you can see, the Naphthol Crimson, that does not wipe off. So perhaps it's an error in this particular tube or this particular color. I'm not really sure, but it is a bit of disappointing. And now, in testing Golden, you can see just a little bit does come off with the green gold, with the fluid green gold. I'm a little surprised by that, but the other colors do not wipe off, and so that does not surprise me. I found Golden to be very stable and not wipe off, but a little bit does come off from that high fluid golden green gold color. I have to be honest, these results surprised me. First, I was surprised that my Quin Magenta wiped off after drying for 12 hours. That was a big shocker, and I'm not really super thrilled about that. If you have Liquitex Professional Paint at home, will you give this test a try and let us know what happens in the comments? Just put the Liquitex Professional Paint on a piece of paper, let it dry for 12 hours, and wipe off and see if it comes out. I was also really surprised about Novacolor's tinting power. For the price point, honestly, I think Novacolor is a bargain, especially if you don't mind that the paint is more similar to a soft body than a heavy body. And I also thought that there was no way that Novacolor would have as strong as tinting power as Golden. At Novacolor's price point, it's just really impressive that its tinting power is so strong that it didn't wipe off at all and that the colors are so bright and beautiful. And by the way, I am not an affiliate for any of these paint brands. This is just my true and honest opinion. I just want to help people figure out what might be the best paint for them. I would love to hear from you. What paints do you use? Which ones do you love? Which ones don't you love? What's your experience with Golden, Novacolor, or Liquitex? I'd love to hear from you. I have recommended all three of these paints for years, but I think my recommendations change a little bit based on the test that I did. I think in the end, for me, I'm going to stick with Golden and Novacolor for the most part. Golden because I just love it so much. I love the fluid paints. I love the soft body. I love the heavy body. And they have great mediums as well. But I'm pretty impressed by Novacolor now. I mean, I've had these paints for many years and I've been using them, but I never really tested it out the way that I did today in this tutorial. So for me, I'm going to stick with Golden and Novacolor. But I wouldn't be opposed to Liquitex. I think my test makes me feel really good about Golden and Novacolor still, and I'd love to know what you think and what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope that it was helpful for you to help you decide which paint might be best for you.